and welcome back to my channel. So today I want to talk to you all about 5 ways I've coped with death. To talk to you all about 5 ways that I've coped with death. But before I do, if you are new to my channel, then hello and welcome. It's lovely to have you here, and if you like these kind of videos and you want to see more, then I upload every Saturday and Sunday at 7 AM, so please don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. As I just mentioned, today I want to talk to you all about 5 ways to deal with death. I'm no expert in this subject. I'm not a psychologist, I don't have any qualifications, but I have been through a lot of deaths in my lifetime. So I wanted to talk to you all today about how I felt I've coped with them in the past and the ways I've used. I'm not saying that this will work for you, and I'm not saying that this is going to be a miracle and it's going to take away all your pain if you are out there and you're dealing with death right now. But these are just some of the ways that have really helped me to deal or cope with the loss of my loved ones. It's taken me a long time to come to this point and be able to sit on camera and talk to you all about this. I find death really difficult to talk about, and I find it really hard, but I wanted to sit here today because I read an article in The Guardian, and it was by Jamie Dornan, or somebody was interviewing Jamie Dornan, and in this article he says that he lost his mother at 16, and we don't talk about death enough. And I know it's not a nice subject to talk about, but I wanted to talk about it today, and I wanted to share with you some of the ways that I've dealt with death in the past. So the first way that I found was a really great way to help me to cope with the death of my brother. My brother passed away 2 days before my 13th birthday. Thanks, bro. I'm so going to kick his butt when I get to pearly gates of heaven. But anyway, that's another story. Yes, so my brother passed away when I was quite young, and I didn't talk about it for years. For years afterwards, I think I just bottled it. I think I just stuffed it inside. I mean, I cried for him and I cried about the death and stuff, but I never really talked about it. And then I went to uni, and stuff started to happen at uni, and I felt like I was completely abnormal at uni. I'm sure a lot of people feel like they're completely abnormal at uni, but I felt something was different with me. So I went to see a counsellor, and in there, so it was probably about 5 years after my brother died, and in those counselling meetings I talked about Piers' death, and it was probably the first time I've ever had an in-depth chat about my brother dying. It wasn't the easiest thing to do either, and as you can hear from my voice, it still isn't now, but it really helped me, and it really supported me, and it really made me grow as a person, I think. I found it really helpful, and definitely I think talking about it and expressing yourself is one of the best ways to deal with death. My mum also started drinking after my brother died, and her drinking really affected me. So I went, after I'd been to counselling, that helped, but it wasn't, I still felt a bit abnormal, and I still felt a bit weird in myself. So there's a group called Al-Anon family groups, and I will link them in the description box below for you. And for anybody who's out there, I'm no longer a member of Al-Anon, because when you join an Al-Anon group, you're not really meant to talk about it in this sort of social setting. So you're meant to remain anonymous in case you affect the other members of the group. So I just want to state that I'm no longer a member of Al-Anon, but I support them, and I think they're a great organisation. And I feel like my mother's drinking affected me, and my brother's death affected me as well. So I went to Al-Anon, and I sat in a room full of people who were in a similar situation to myself, and I talked about my experiences, and I talked about the things I've been through, and this really helped me. This helped me so much. I think it lifted barriers that I've been putting in my way for so many years. I carried around a lot of baggage with me after Piers died. Guilt, fear, anger, you name it, I was carrying it. And Al-Anon really helped me to drop the bags, to just let go of that stuff and be myself. So yes, talking about it, and perhaps if you can, trying to talk to other people in a similar situation was the best way forward for me. I felt this really helped me. Number 2 is express yourself and let yourself cry, let yourself feel anger, let yourself feel the pain. I think for very many years after my brother died, initially I didn't let anybody in, and I sort of bottled my pain that I was feeling. And then obviously I went to the self-help groups and I talked about it, but I definitely think if you need to cry, just cry. I know after my dad died, I sort of went, oh, I'll come back to the crying. And I think that's come back to haunt me a little bit in my body. I think if you don't express yourself, it will come back to haunt you. And I think that's probably one of the best things that you can do is if you just need to cry, just cry. And I think people just need to sit and listen to you cry as well. Sometimes people will try and help you and fix the problem, and that's not always what you want. I think you just need somebody just to sit next to you and just let you cry, and you don't need kind words. Yeah, I think a lot of people try to fix me, and I didn't need fixing. I just needed to be allowed to express myself, and express myself with the fear and guilt and pain that I felt. So yes, and if other people do annoy you, just take yourself off and just let yourself cry. I think crying is one of the most cleansing ways to get rid of your pain. So definitely have a good cry, because that was one of the best ways I let go of all that baggage that I was carrying as well, was at the end of Al-Anon meetings and the end of meetings with people in a similar situation. I went home and I cried. And I think it was one of the best things I ever did. I just let go. I let go of all the pain that I was feeling. With my dad, I feel like I have let go now. But it took a little while, and I did bottle it, I think. I did sort of go, because I'm a mum now, I sort of went, oh, I'll just shelve that pain for a little while because I need to deal with this child. And I know it can be hard in life situations to be able to just go off and cry. I mean, you'd have to be a millionaire and have people looking after your children to be able to just do that. But when you can, I think it's a really good idea just to let yourself cry when you're grieving. So I think death, when it comes, can really knock you off your feet, and it can sort of like, you could just lie down and just do nothing. But I don't think, for me, doing nothing really helped me. I remember the day my brother died and all I wanted to do was go to school. I think I wanted to stick to my routine and I wanted to keep going. It just really helped me, and it really helped me through that first period, that really difficult period when somebody dies that you love so much. So I definitely think, for me, sticking to a routine and trying to stay as normal as possible in that situation helped me, especially as a 13-year-old. When I was like that age, it just came as an instinct that I wanted to go to school. It wasn't like, my mum said to me, oh, you can have the day off, but I thought, what am I going to do at home? I'm just going to sit round and like cry a lot. So I just decided, I'm going to school, mum, and that was it. I didn't really want to, it's not like I was pushing the grief out, but I wanted to remain as normal as I possibly could through that process. And that was an instinct in me. So yes, I definitely think sticking to a routine, if you can. I mean, obviously, if you need a day off because you're tired and you feel ill from it, then take a day off. That's what I did. Whenever I felt tired or ill, I took a day off. But I did try to stick to a normal routine, and that really, I think, really helped me through the grieving process. Another good thing to get when you're grieving is try to get as much sleep as you possibly can. Now, after my dad died, I didn't sleep too well, so I started to do things like having a nice hot bath in the evening, perhaps with some Epsom salt and some lavender essential oil as well. Also having a hot drink, like a herbal tea, like a lavender herbal tea, a chamomile tea, or a hot chocolate if you're not into herbal teas. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, no pun intended, but yes, taking care of yourself and getting enough sleep really helped me through the shock of my dad passing. I wasn't expecting my dad to die. I was expecting him to jump back up like the Terminator. This guy had had 2 hip operations, a knee operation, and he'd had a heart bypass as well. And I thought, you're just going to come back out of hospital and be like the Terminator, Dad. I'll be back, he'd be saying. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, and sadly, he passed away. But yes, after that initial shock of him dying, I found it really difficult to go to sleep at night, and I found that I was waking up very early as well. So I started to take lots of hot baths, and I just started to take care of myself a lot more in the evening. I also started to do things like switch off my mobile phone and leave it downstairs. Also, although I'm guilty of it now, I tried to switch off the computer as well, like an hour before I went to bed, so that I could wind down a little. And I also started, after my dad died, reading before I go to sleep as well, because I find that helps me. So doing anything that will help you get to sleep, and then trying to get enough sleep, is always a good thing after somebody dies, I think. And then tip number 5 is probably quite a sensible one, but I think we tend to forget it when somebody passes, is trying to eat a healthy diet. I know a lot of people don't want to eat after they lose somebody. They don't want to do much. They don't, and I can understand that. I have lost quite a lot of people, and I can understand why. But when my dad passed, I knew it was important to keep a healthy diet going. I didn't feel very hungry, I have to admit. Like, normally I'm a bit of a snacker, so I'll have things in between meals just to keep me going. But I really didn't fancy any of my snacks. But I did try to stick to 3 square meals a day. So I made sure I had breakfast, lunch and dinner in the first few weeks. And I made sure I cooked them as well from scratch. I made sure they were really healthy meals, because eating is important. Food can really help, especially like with the digestive system and stuff, and the brain and things like that. I do think that was probably one of the most important things, was just to keep having a healthy meal. And it's also part of a routine as well, isn't it? So it goes back to linking it with a routine. So like having breakfast, lunch and dinner is part of our routine, it's part of probably everybody's routine. So yes, that was really important for me, to make sure I kept eating a healthy diet. Even though I wasn't as hungry as I normally am, I still made sure that I had 3 meals a day, as I've said, and that I just tried to make sure that they were really healthy meals as well. So that's my 5 top tips for dealing with death. And as I said, I'm no expert, but I have lost a fair few people in this lifetime. I've lost my brother, my dad, both grandmothers, my grandfather. I never met my dad's father because he died before I was born. I've also lost a grandfather that I didn't really know too well. He was my dad's mum's second husband, but I didn't really know him too well, and I was quite young when he passed. I've also lost my nan's brother as well, Uncle Albert. I remember that when I was a kid. Probably the first major one that I remember losing was Piers, my brother, though. That really hit me as a teenager, or near teenager. Yeah, I've lost 2 uncles, so I'm not saying that I'm an expert in death, and I wouldn't wish anybody to lose this amount of people in their lifetime. But yes, I do feel like that I have learned to cope with death in a good way, and I try to take care of myself, especially after my dad died. I feel like I dealt with that better than I did with my brother, if you know what I mean. I think I was younger then, and I don't think I knew what to do. But with my dad, I feel like I've moved forward a lot from it in a short space of time, whereas with my brother it took a lot longer. I don't think I will ever get over their deaths, don't get me wrong. Excuse me. I don't think I'll ever get over their deaths. And they will always affect me, and I'll always have that memory of them as well. But I think I try to see the positive side of it. I can now take them with me wherever I go. I have that beautiful memory of them. So yes, I thought I just wanted to share this with you. And I hope if you are out there and you are dealing with death that you found this helpful. And if you do want to talk to me about dealing with death, then you can always leave a comment in the description box below. I will always try to get back to you, especially about these things. Even if you leave a comment a week later, I will always try to return your comments. So that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to give me a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and please feel free to leave any comments below. I'd love to know what you think about it, and please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. See you all soon. Bye.